Hi, I'm Jeff Gillette with AmericanTodayOutdoors.com. Today we're going to be talking about this guy. This is the Texas rig. This rig here is so versatile it'll catch bass, both largemouth and smallmouth bass, almost on any body of water across the United States, anywhere, any time of the year, whether it be deep water, shallow water, wherever, and it's also very, very, very simple to use. So join with us now as we show you how to make the Texas rig. Okay, so here we have it. These are your basic components of a Texas rig. It'll consist of a worm weight. It's kind of shaped as a like a hollow point bullet. It has a hole that runs through it in which your line goes through from the tip all the way through the hollow portion of the base. And you'll be wanting to have some kind of a worm hook. This is called an offset worm hook with this offset shank right here. This aids in keeping the bait onto the hook. This is an extra wide gap style, and I believe it's a number 3/0. Choices and sizes are up to you, and that's determined about according to the size of bait or the plastic worm you're going to use. And last, of course, is going to be your plastic worm or any other suitable soft bait to complete your Texas rig startup. Okay, so here we have your worm weight. This one happens to be a lead 1/4 ounce version, and like we said before, it's hollow, going from the tip all the way to the hollow base right here. Now what's really cool is that the hollow base will actually fit over the nose of the worm once we're all done. So simply take your monofilament line like we've done already, place right through the center, and slide it on through, and it should be something like this. Okay, now it's very important that the tip of the weight is pointed towards the tip of your rod to make sure everything gets going in the right direction. Okay, so here we have our worm hook, and what we've already done is use an improved clinch knot to tie onto the eye of the hook. Alright, so that's right there. I like that knot. It's kind of easy to do. You guys should probably already know that. And then we'll just let the weight go ahead and slide on down, and your Texas rig should look something like that. Okay, so now next step is to put on the worm. Okay, so this is the worm that we're going to use today. Now notice it has a brown back and a white belly, so there is an upside down and a right side up to this worm. Most natural baits will have a white belly, so we're going to want to end up with our hook coming out of the white belly to make this thing look as natural as possible once we present it to our fish. Okay, grab your hook, grab your worm, take the point of the hook, go into the nose of the worm, in about a 1/4 inch or so. That's be about right. So here we are. It looks something like that. Now pull the hook on through the nose of the worm so it looks something like that. See the direction that we're going? Okay, real good. Now slide the hook further through. Now we're getting to that little offset shank area. Now that area there actually helps keep the bait onto the hook while you're casting. Okay, pull it right on through. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. See which way the hook is pointed, pull it through a little bit farther, and then actually give it a little twist as you're pulling it through, and it should look something like that. Okay, now once everyone is with us, the idea here is we're going to want this thing to be laid out straight. The next thing to do is to place the tip of the hook into the body of the worm somewhere down here. Okay, now the way we measure that is, you see the upper radius of the hook? Well, that's about where the point is going to start its penetration into the body of the worm. Okay, so what I'll simply do is grab that area by using my thumb, and that's my measuring stick, that's where I'm marking it, compress the worm forward until the hook is probably right there about where your thumbnail is. Alright, now carefully insert the hook, pull the worm back so that everything lays nice and straight. Looks something like that, nice and natural. Now let's find our weight here. And what I'm going to do is slide the weight on down and give you guys a demonstration of what this thing should look like when we're all done. Okay, so there it is, right there. A nice straight worm. So when it casts, this thing can go through weeds and brush real easy. And it's fairly snag proof right now. Now let me tell you a little bit about this worm, because we will have another segment on worms themselves. This happens to be a high floating worm. So what's going to happen, you'll cast this into the water. This whole apparatus will probably sit something like this. Just imagine this being the bottom of the lake. And this tail will float up something like that. A little bit of movement of water is all it takes to make this thing wag back and forth. And it looks really, really cool. In fact, even a curious bass, when he comes around, Just him moving up on it disturbs the water enough that this thing wiggles. Or you can also just kind of twitch your line just a little bit, just like this here. And if we had this in a tank, this tail would wiggle just like a real natural worm. Okay, now that is your basic Texas rig.